call the meeting of the December 5th, 2017 Lake Mills City Council. And we would like to do the flag pledge at this time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I still like 1900. Oh, yes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Mr. Fritsch?
Here.
Ms. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Knippel?
Here.
And Mr. Fields previously informed staff that he'd be absent this evening.
Okay, thank you. A correction and approval of the City Council minutes of November 21st, 2017.
I'll make a motion to approve the City Council minutes for November 21st, 2017.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Would you call, please?
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Abstain.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 3-0.
Okay. Anybody have correspondence that they'd like to share with the rest of the council? None over here.
Yeah, the only grumblings I heard were from folks that wish they would have heard about the radium in the water sooner. So I don't know if that was even an option if we knew about it, if we even knew about it.
All water has radium in it, some level.
Yeah.
So that's when it hits the TML, the total maximum limit.
Right.
And you got the notice when we got the notice.
Right. That's what I thought happened. So, yeah, folks thought it'd come out about a year ago, and I was trying to figure out where that came from. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. Do you have anything, Vicki?
No.
No? Okay. I just want to mention that the tree lighting in the park was a success, and Santa did make it to Lake Mills to get all those orders from the children. So we're in good shape on that one. And this weekend we have our farmers market over at the middle school. Friday night, I believe, the businesses are, a group of the businesses are doing a promotion. There'll be a hayride, and some of the stores are staying open longer on Friday night than they usually do. And so if you haven't finished all your Christmas shopping, you might want to come out on Friday or Saturday and support our local businesses. Anybody else have anything else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to questions and public comment. Okay. The public is encouraged to address the council at this time regarding items on the agenda. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting has been called to order. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the council on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and state your name and address when starting your comments, and fill out the sign-in sheet provided on the podium. Is there anyone that would like to address the council at this time? Okay, thank you. Yeah, go right on over. Before you leave, if you sign the sheet, but if you want to speak first, you can. Just give your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Jessica Duppy. Address is 122 South Watertown Street, Apartment 5, Johnson Creek, Wisconsin, 53038. I am applying for my tavern license for my job over at Dollar General, and there was a charge that came up on my record I thought had been expunged, and apparently it's not. So I did want to mention that before it became a problem and see if there's a way I can resolve that.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
And if you would just sign the sheet, and we thank you for coming and explaining that to us.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? So, oh, yep, here. So,
Sorry.
Hi, my name's Jamie Goppa. My address is N5383 Harvey Road, Jefferson, Wisconsin, 53549. I also applied for the tavern's license. You guys denied it last time, and I'm reapplying again. I forgot about a ticket I had 14 years ago under my maiden name. So that's what I'm here for.
you've got it all in order now.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Hi, my name is Rolla Smith, and my address is 1000 Roberts Street in Edgerton, Wisconsin, 53531. And I am representing Later Oil. We're saying that we'd like her, she's a good employee, and we'd appreciate her getting a license. So.
Okay. Looks like you have a good friend.
She's awesome. She really is.
That's great. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? All right, seeing none, closing public comment. Moving to city manager's report number 6. Okay, and Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, the first one is the enforcement conference summary from the DNR, which is dated November 22nd. So you note that the last time we had the letter noticing us, and then we had our meeting with them, and this is the summary of that conference. So, I mean, the information is all within a 30-day time period.
Yeah.
So,
And is a copy of that on the website?
yep, both
Okay,
ones.
so anybody who wants to know can go to the city website and go to tonight's agenda and see a copy of the letter. And just to go with that, the enforcement activities will be in 2018?
Oh, no.
No, sooner?
No.
Oh.
Maybe 5
Really?
years or more.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to determine.
Yeah, you have to go through quite a process to put together a report and then get it all approved and get it financed. And so, yeah, when we had if you read the summary, they gave us a timeline and
Mm-hmm. Okay.
what we had to comply with. The next one is just notice that the gas company has started on South Main Street. It was actually for our parcel, but I assume that it's relevant to everybody on South Main Street. I noticed that they were starting to do erosion control in the storm inlets. Dot did a business information meeting here in November, and they provided some documents which are attached to my report, and they give a pretty good detail of all the information that they discussed or would be of interest at the meeting. The actual contract will go out to bid in February, and the bidding will actually be turned in March, and the contract probably will be awarded sometime in April. So there is nobody who's been awarded the contract yet.
Well, I hope they get it early enough so we don't end up on the back end of the wagon.
Well, this is the schedule that they've been on
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
about this time last year.
Okay.
The Jefferson County Clean Sweep information is on there, which is normally on the Jefferson County website. I've provided it because it comes with a letter requesting assistance from the city council. So if you guys are interested, that's something you'll need to place on the agenda. And then the Rock River Coalition is just an organization that we've been a member of, before I got here. There was some action. The Rock River Coalition, this part of it was actually formed when the new phosphorus rules were going in place, and the city joined with a group of other cities and hired an attorney named Paul Kent to represent us. And so we've been a member of this organization just to stay up on the rules and regulations that are coming down on wastewater treatment plants and relationship to the rivers and streams. This might go at the end, but I wanted to note we want to set up the second meeting in January and the second meeting in February as study sessions. So we're going to try and put all the action items on the first meeting in January and the second meeting, or in the first meeting in February. And then at the first meeting or the second meeting in January, we will do the Mill Pond management study and the Sandy Beach feasibility study. And then in the second meeting in February, we will do which ones?
The gold one?
Composting
Oh,
Multi-use.
and the multi-use facility. So
Okay.
those will be coming out as study sessions. I'm going to try and kind of wrap them around the goal-setting meetings and the branding. And so we'll probably be pretty busy in that time. Our first goal-setting meeting is January 30th. So I want to remind you, most of the department heads will be here at that meeting. If not that one, they might all also be at the second one.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, just one. Did you say one of those things is going to be the first meeting in February or not?
No.
Okay, that's
The
up.
second meeting in
That's fine.
January
That's
is the
all I
first two.
needed.
The first meeting in February, we're going to try and get all the business
Gotcha,
for that
I
month,
getcha, okay.
so that we don't have to, so we have that open time period. And then we're going to have to, the second goal-setting meeting will probably be sometime we'll probably have to set it for a date in February, because we wanted to kind of wrap up at the end of March with goal-setting.
I want to make a comment have we always had the tire recycling event with the clean sweep, or is that a new thing?
No, they've always had it. It just hasn't been pushed very much in Lake Mills because John's picks up tires from your residents.
Ah.
You're allowed a certain number of tires per year, so you can set them out at the curb on the third.
The heavy pickup.
The big, yeah,
heavy
the big
We
pickup.
can now pick that up. Same with oil. So
Mhm.
we haven't had certain recycling events that we've advertised heavily here. Mostly the electronics ones have been the ones that we push because we
Right.
don't have any electronic recycling here.
But if somebody does have a bunch of tires, they might want to know that the first weekend in April is a tire recycling event for Jefferson County. So, but probably not many people will be affected. Okay. So, all right. All right. What about, did you want to say anything about, oh yeah, you did that. Okay. Going on. Anybody have questions for Steve? All right. Acceptance of minutes of the Planning Commission for October 24th, 2017, and the Police and Fire Commission for September 21st, 2017. And those will be placed on file, and we will continue with council business. First item on council business is miscellaneous licenses. Would you read all the names on there, please?
Tavern operators licenses: Heather Spatola, Rachel Woodley, Eric Zimmerman, Benjamin Schaefer, Bryce Olson, Cheyenne Anderson, Amanda Mertz, Katrina Reeve, Kenneth Berg, Jessica Deppie, and Jamie Glappa.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve tavern operators licenses just read?
I'll make the motion to approve all the names for tavern operator licenses.
Okay, need a second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And again, thank the ladies that came tonight to speak to us. We really appreciate that. And call the roll.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
There you go. Okay, and that leaves the REN Golf LLC Class B beer retail license. Do you want to read that, what you need to read for that?
Sure. That is Class B beer retail license application for Ren Golf LLC, doing business as Lake Mills Indoor Golf, appointing agent Nathan Lee Keller.
Okay. And let me,
I'll move the Class B approval of the retail beer license for Nathan Lee Keller.
second. Okay. Now, we might have any discussion on that. Steve, do you have anything you want to fill us in on?
No, that would be more if Misty had anything that she wanted to add, or if you had any questions, it would be directed to Misty. She handles all the
Okay.
licensing.
Anything you wanted us to know about it?
I prepared a memo. There's not any quotas on this type of license. They currently have a provisional, so they've opened and started serving. The agent has to be appointed. It's gone through background. I think everything was provided to you from the police department. There weren't any red flags that they had found. Unless there's any questions, it's just a general
And they
Class
just
B.
fall under,
It's beer only, no liquor, wine.
they fall under the same regulations as the grocery stores, so no selling after.
They'd be a little bit different because this would be a Class B compared to a Class A. This would be more in line with a tavern
Okay.
as far as on-site consumption. They can do on and off-site actually with a Class B. So there are certain hours. Their hours that they've posted aren't even close to what a regular tavern typical hours are. So unless they were to adjust anything, but they fall under all those same rules. And they have a copy of all of the rules as well.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
Okay. Call the roll.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. There we go. And moving on to item B, Resolution 1744, City Manager's Compensation. Would you read that resolution, please?
Do you want it the title or in full?
I think we should do the whole thing. don't
Sure.
we? Let's do the whole thing.
Okay. Resolution 17-44, City Manager Compensation. Whereas the City Council of the City of Lake Mills has heretofore entered into an agreement with the City Manager that calls for an annual performance evaluation and an annual review of the City Manager's compensation. And whereas the Council has met in closed sessions for the purposes of conducting the performance evaluation and the compensation review of the City Manager. Excuse me. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Lake Mills hereby agrees to compensate the City Manager with an annual salary of $93,090.75 to be paid in 26 pay periods over the course of the 12-month period of service to the City of Lake Mills during 2018. And be it therefore resolved that the compensation increase represents the same 1.5% increase given in 2018 to other full-time city employees. Be it further resolved that a half percent bonus shall also be paid to the City Manager on December 29, 2017 provided no premium payment is required for the income continuation insurance made available to city employees during 2017.
Okay. I think we need a motion to approve, to discuss it.
I move Resolution 17-44.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I just have one comment I want to make for the viewing public is to remember that when we approve the city manager's compensation, we're not only approving the city manager job, but we're also approving his work with the utilities as the CEO of the electric, the sewer, the water. Did I miss anything? That, you know, it's a big job, so. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
I have a question about the last paragraph. Should those dates for that 0.5% bonus be 2018 instead of 2017?
It's paid at the end of the month.
Yeah, that one was last year's.
Yeah, that was last year's. So
The new one is,
this will be the
Next year.
upcoming for next year.
Oh, my mistake, then I changed the December 29th, but I didn't change the 2018. I'll amend
Yeah.
that. Well, I guess I probably need a
Well,
motion.
We can
we'll
amend it.
amend it.
My mistake.
Good catch. Okay. Is there a motion to amend?
So move.
Motion to amend to 2018 in the last paragraph? Is there a
Second.
Second?
Second.
Second. And let's do a vote on the amendment.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Now we're back to the motion as amended, for the resolution. Any other comments or questions or eagle eyes? So, seeing none, call the roll.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. So that takes us to item C, Resolution 1745, fund transfer for the fire department budget. And let's see. Give me a sec here.
Do you want me to read the title?
Yeah, go ahead.
Resolution 17-45, authorizing the city manager to direct the treasurer to transfer funds, fire department capital.
Okay. So everyone has a copy of the, Resolution 1745. Do you want to say anything about that, Steve? Or is that also
Betsy.
Betsy? Thank you, Betsy. Okay. Can you just give us a brief overview of what we're doing?
The capital budget had a line for the fire department to redo their floors and to repair their HVAC system. The floors came in a little higher than anticipated, and the HVAC had more extensive repairs than originally anticipated. So the fire department found that in their budget, they will be $29,000 under. So we looked at their general fund budget and determined that there were some areas that they could have funds left over to transfer over to the capital budget in order to cover this difference. And so the resolution before you is requesting permission to transfer from the general fund budget into the capital budget to make sure that that budget line is balanced.
So is this money that wasn't needed in some other categories over the year?
Well, it's money that is still there. So yes, they don't anticipate they'll be spending it, but they're trying to be very frugal with their money, knowing that these expenses can come up. So yes, they had that left in their budget lines that they were able to move. So as you can see on the resolution, they did have to take it from 4 different categories So it wasn't, like there was a whole lot of excess there.
Right.
They just needed to try to make sure that their expenses were, as slim as possible, and they found it and moved it over if we get the permission here.
Good job on that.
Yeah,
Glad to see
they
that
worked
they
really
were
hard. Mhm.
watching what they were doing.
They appreciate having heat in the building. And I think the floors look good. They needed some maintenance.
Oh, yes. Any other questions, comments before we vote?
You still have to
Do we
make
have
a
to move it?
motion.
Oh, okay.
I'll move Resolution 17-45.
I'll second it.
Yes, technicalities, technicalities. Now we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, would you call the roll?
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Item D, Resolution 1746, transfer funds for the capital budget. Okay, I get to where I need to be.
Resolution 17-46, authorizing the city manager to direct the treasurer to transfer funds, capital budget.
No, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Now we have a motion, and now we can have discussion. What did you want to tell us about that?
Well, it's similar to what we did last year. There were several projects that had funds left over, and we had not quite completed those projects. So there are, let me get to the resolution here. Got it now. Okay, so for instance, the composting, that study, we have not received all of the invoices yet, so there will be funds available. We want to make sure that that's available to go into the 2018, so we can finish that project. The same with the library elevator. That one, they ordered the car. The car isn't going to be ready this year, so we want to make sure that the funds are moved over so that they can be used next year. So it's similar for all of the items that I've listed on the resolution. So since we don't have all of the invoices in yet, I can't give you an exact amount of what is going to be transferred, but I will only transfer what is left over so we can use it in the next year.
Gotcha. Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
You should probably tell them what you do with the money that you don't transfer to continue to hold.
Oh, you're talking about borrowed funds?
Right.
Yeah, if it's borrowed funds for, for the bonds, I need to use those funds to be applied toward debt service.
So if we don't transfer these and hold them for the rest of the project, which is slid into the next year, she has to use it to pay back debt.
Mhm. So we really want to use it for the purpose that it was borrowed.
Right.
Mhm.
Good. All right. I think we have called the roll on.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Takes us to item E, Resolution 1747. Would you like to read that for us?
Resolution 17-47, resolution establishing fees for operation and use of Rock Lake Cemetery, Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Is there a motion to approve?
I approve resolution, or I move approval resolution 1747.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion, and we have in our on our computers a complete list of everything of the, and for those at home, you can see it right on the website. The 2015-16, 2017, and 2018 amounts are listed there for anyone who would like to see. Anybody want us to speak about it more than we have?
Is this operation self-supporting? Or does it require contributions from the city?
The cemetery or the open and close?
Both.
Open and close is totally self-supporting. We don't put any funds into that. The cemetery is, yeah, it's pretty heavily supported by the city. If you look at maintenance costs throughout the year and then capital costs over a period of time, you're going to see that we have a pretty substantial amount of investment in those categories. In the cemetery, it's not a moneymaker. So, what was it, 2007, I think, we wrote a report on what the endowment fees would have to be charging and how to catch up, and I think there was a little bit of a question about when was the last time we actually followed the endowment fee schedule that was set up that year. And so that will be coming back to you probably in January or February, depending on when we can, because we've been short of staff in the accounting area, some of those items have been kind of deprioritized. And as soon as we get the new person on here next week, the week after, we'll start ramping some of that stuff back up.
Could you explain the endowment fees a little bit more to me?
When we sell a lot, the anticipation is that money goes into the endowment, and the endowment generates enough revenue to cover the cost of maintenance at the cemetery in the long run. We are not the original owners of the cemetery. And what happens is if a cemetery becomes abandoned or someone decides that they don't want to manage it anymore, state law says the local government has to take it over. So when we got it, I don't know how much of an endowment fund was left, and I also don't know how we managed it up until about 2007. At that point in time, we looked at it and we tried to make a catch-up, but we also tried to stay within reason for what's being charged in the rest of the county. So I don't know that we'll ever fully catch up, but there was a goal of trying to be realistic in what we were charging while still recovering our costs. And then the endowment, the money basically stays in there and the interest is shifted into the general fund to help cover the cost of maintenance of the cemetery.
Do we still have a lot of lots there?
Yeah, I would say we do. We have quite a few lots left. We have almost the whole western section is still open.
How far down does it go to the west?
You move down to the highway?
Well, no, I'm thinking
That's
of,
north.
you come down off the hill, there's the caretaker's garage.
There's
Do
there's a
we own
section.
that flat field?
It's hard to define because yes, we own a portion. The portion right next to the highway, there's I think a 7-acre parcel that's owned privately by LLK or LKK. Is that what it is? And then we own about another 8 acres south of that runs down to the caretaker building.
Oh, okay.
And that runs all, that green area there is all ours. We'd have to open it up with a roadway and some other things. We could do some other things like mausoleums, and what's the other one? Some barium.
I'm not sure.
But they're, one of them is a building that's above ground. Well, they're both above ground, but one of them's for regular burials and one of them is for cremains. And we've looked at doing that. Basically, we've stayed to the lots right now, but in the future, we may look at taking a portion of that area and putting it into those two types of buildings. But we haven't proposed opening that up yet because there's still quite a number of lots left in the primary area.
Well, I take it the cemetery was previously privately held?
Yes. It was originally a privately held cemetery.
And so then they gave up.
They either
maintaining it?
asked the city to take it over, or they went bankrupt and the city ended up with it. There's no clear history of that, and Vicki may know more about that than I do.
I believe that the city was asked to take it over. There were a number of churches that were involved in the cemetery originally, and I think the city took it over probably around the turn of the century.
1900?
Yeah, I was going to say which
Yeah.
century. Yeah, okay, good point. I think it's good to mention that because over the years, at different times I've had people come up to me and say, well, I don't think the city of Lake Mills should own a cemetery. And it isn't a choice by the state law. We have to take care of the cemetery that's been given to us by other entities.
Technically, we could sell it to a private organization again. The problem is that a lot of cemeteries like this, particularly in this case where we're already underfunded, they're not going to generate enough money to make it profitable for them in the long run. And so that the likelihood of them wanting to take it over is pretty small. Probably if we got an offer, it would be where they would spend all the money out of the endowment fund and then force us to take it over again as a bankruptcy. So my recommendation to the council, after we reviewed the issues, were that it didn't make sense for us to run the risk of losing the endowment, what endowment fund we have, when logically a private business wouldn't take it over if we're already losing money on it. And so it was decided by the council at that time to set up the fee schedule the way, and laid it out, and then continue on with the way it is.
And I've understand with cremations, and now I understand there's other forms of body disposal that burial in cemeteries is not necessarily a winning proposition anymore.
Cemeteries can be at least break even. But they're generally very specific in how they do it. You're not going to see a lot of stand-up headstones. You're not going to see decorations. You're not going to see a lot of trees because they want to come in and be able just to mow right over everything and have it absolutely the minimum amount of maintenance. We go through and we pick up everything and we trim around it and we set it back down, and we let a lot of things go on in that cemetery that are allowed by the rules or that no other cemetery would allow, and that pushes the costs up pretty substantially. So yeah, it's not necessarily we don't manage it in a tight money-making operation. In fact, this year and next year, we set aside money for headstone repair, because there are a lot of headstones from the mid-1800s that are starting to tilt, and when they get tilted too much, they break. And so we straighten them up so there's a bunch of money set aside for that.
What do you do with those? Mud jack?
No, they kind of just come in with a piece of equipment, lift it, straighten it up, and then concrete around it. But those are the types of things that we do that I don't think a lot of people know that are going on. We paved all the roads. We spend a lot of time picking up stuff and moving it around, and because there are certain times of the year where we just have to clean it up. some of the maintenance, grass grows the best in the spring, and most of our part-time help that helps with the cemetery doesn't get out of school until June, and so that time period is really tough for us. So there's a lot of, types of issues that we have problems dealing with.
Which leads to comments around Memorial Day that we're not taking care of the cemetery, when it's really the fact that there just isn't help available for it at that time of the year yet.
We have a lot of items that people expect us to do, get the piers in, to get the parks up. Once that initial break occurs, everything's starting to move, and there's a high demand, and we depend so much in that department on temporary employees that we don't really get geared up until June.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. Well,
Okay.
any other discussion? Call the question then.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. And it moves us along to the next item on the agenda, which is discussion decision on awarding the 2018 grave opening and closing contract. Would you,
City Council Motion 17-12-1-1, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Lake Mills and Meitner Land Services.
okay. Is there a motion? Oh, there is a motion. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the motion?
I so move.
Okay. Second.
Second.
And do we have any idea how long Meitner's been with us?
I can tell you at least 17.
Okay.
Vicki, probably longer than that, right? Because he was here when I got here.
I think he was here when I got here in '93, so.
There's not a lot of competition in the business. It's kind of, there are two people, and they pretty much kind of divide up the cemeteries that they can handle. And if you want to generate some competition, you're going to hire your own employees and use your own equipment. And so we kind of keep an eye on it, see if he starts to run out of line with other ones. If I said there might be some collusion in that business, I might be telling the truth. But from our standpoint, we don't win or lose on it.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this item? No? Call the roll.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Item G, Resolution 1748. Would you read that, please?
Resolution 17-48, establishing garbage, refuse, and recyclable pickup and disposal fees pursuant to Section 4-3-3 of the City of Lake Mills Municipal Code.
Okay. So this is an annual event. Is there a motion? Someone want to make a motion for Resolution 1748?
I move adoption of Resolution 1748.
I'll second it.
Okay. So now, discussion. How much of an increase is there?
15 cents a month, is that what they said?
Yeah, I don't know, I lost that.
Well,
Per customer per month is what John's wants to charge us more.
Well,
but did we pass all of it on?
Well, you're talking about the fee. Yeah,
Yeah, so
right.
the city doesn't have to pay it, but the
Right.
residents do.
Right.
And
So
it's-
if we leave the fee at $12 per customer per month, the difference is what I anticipate our recycling grant will be.
Ah,
So it would be very close.
Right. So we don't make any money on this one either. This is a pass-through operation for us. So Betsy evaluated it, made a determination that although it'd be close in 2018, she recommended staying with the $12 fee, which is what it's lower than.
That was last year's fee as well, yeah.
Okay.
But
fee.
we had reduced it the year before.
Okay, so we reduced it last year and now we're keeping it the same. So we're in and some of that has to do with the fact that they actually did provide some additional grant fees in the last 2 years.
Right, the grant, I'm anticipating that the grant will stay the same for next year as it is this year, and this year it's a little bit higher than it was the year before.
So the residents shouldn't see a big change.
Should see no change.
Right, the fee will stay the same on their
Okay.
bill as what they've been seeing.
Well, that's good.
I just want to make you aware that it's going to cut it really close. If something changes, if there's something, we're estimating that it'll be right there.
Nothing is forever.
Right, so if we're short money, we just use fund balance to correct it, and then we come back the next year and adjust.
Okay. All right.
And vice versa, if there's some money left over because then it just dumps into the fund balance and we start over again, so.
Okay.
So, any other? Okay, let's vote on that one.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Moving on to item H, ordinance 1184. Would you read that, please?
Ordinance 1184, amending sections 10-3-2-A, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, parcel 2460713, 1223, 009, 805 North Elm Street. The City Council of the City of Lake Mills, Jefferson County, Wisconsin, does ordain as follows. Section 1, Section 10-3-2-A, the official zoning ordinance and map of the City of Lake Mills are hereby amended to zone the following described properties from RD Rural Development to PB Planned Business District. Parcel 2460713, 1223, 009, 805 North Elm Street. Section 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent with or contravening the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 3, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon passage and publication as provided by law.
Okay. So this change did go through the Planning Commission. There were no objections to it from the public at the Planning Commission. It's my understanding that it would be helpful to the owner of this property to speed along the process. So that would mean we would waive, well, this is the first reading, so we'd be waiving the second and voting on the third. So I need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Okay, to suspend the rules and waive the second reading and move to the third reading.
And I will second it.
Second over here, okay. Any discussion on that change?
No discussion on that change. I just have something once we get to the third reading.
Okay, so let's take a roll on the suspension of readings.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
So now we're at the third reading.
And I'm just going to read the title.
Yep.
Ordinance 1184, amending sections 10-3-2-A, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, parcel 2460713, 1223, 009, 805 North Elm Street.
And I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1184.
Second.
Okay. Any
So-
discussion?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say is this was the piece that came up concerning the change to the comprehensive plan. And there was some talk about holding off on this until we were able to change the comprehensive plan. Just what we discussed then is the comprehensive plan is basically a living document. It can be changed at any time. It doesn't have to be changed before this gets approved. So it was not made part of the, what do we want to call it?
Plan commission
The
motion.
requirements to make, to get that passed before they did this piece. But that's something that we want to make sure happens now after we're done with the change.
We have at least 2 more and maybe 3 more that will be coming in the next couple months that will need to do the same thing. So just grouping them together and making one
Makes
instead of having to
sense.
go through a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
Okay. But again, there were no people in the area that were against this change, so,
No, and this was that parcel of land that we just annexed, and it is adjacent, well, across the street from other businesses, from Culver's and things like that, so it fits within the neighborhood, so
Right.
being a planned business. And because it was just annexed, it comes in as that rural development, and then we look for them to request whatever zoning they would like to see that at, and that's what happened with this process. It came in as rural development, and then the owners requested to be planned business.
okay.
I might note that that's on the New Elm Street
Yes.
portion that's between Pine and Tyrrell Park Road. It's on the west side of the road. And it is not in a TID district.
That's good to know.
And call roll on it? Let's do that.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay. Recommendations for future agendas.
I don't have anything other than the 2 that I gave you, or the 4 that I gave you.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating that you should buckle down and look for an early start and a late out, because we spent 4 hours on it this afternoon, and I'm assuming that we had quite a bit of background information on it.
What are we talking about?
The mill pond and
Okay.
Sandy Beach. Sandy Beach is both the park
Okay.
and the
these
trailers.
These are the things that we're going to be looking at in the new year.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We
Okay.
won't, I don't think we'll have another meeting until January.
Okay. 'Cause as of right now, and there's no Public Works Board meeting?
I understand that we determined there wasn't going to be, and they were going to call around and make sure that the members were comfortable with that.
I'm sure they're going to be really upset that we canceled it.
The Planning Commission meeting, I was glad they decided not to have that, because that's one of the holidays for us, so the building would be closed. So yeah, I think, is it January 2nd?
Yes, yes.
Is the first meeting in January, and we're gonna run several, won't be a lot, but we'll have most of our active business at that meeting. There's a request to waive, to provide a temporary waivers for some screening at a property at the corner of Owen and CP, and a couple other minor items that I don't think are big deals, but we want to get those done then. We'll try and get everything that we have on that one, because then the next one, it's basically get them sit down and go over because it can get to be pretty mind-numbing, all the issues that we're going to be dealing with on just the first 2 items, which are the mill pond and the beach and the trailer park. And then the next one we go to will be composting, which he'll need to make a lot of decisions, and then the multi-use facility. And I think we really, really need to pay attention to phasing and financial planning in this case, because they weren't little projects.
Those work sessions are open to the public, correct?
They're open to the public, but they're not broadcast.
Got you. Yep.
So as of right now, unless something comes up of importance, there probably won't be a second meeting this month for the city council.
That's correct.
However, if that changes, it will be posted as it normally is, and, but it could happen. Things happen, and and if we don't come back on the 19th, we would all like to wish everybody who watches us and looks at what's going on, and thank you for doing that, and wish you the best in 2018. Okay. Oh, I guess I can adjourn the meeting.